Hello, everyone. So, today we are continuing with our textbooks and we are at chapter 4. And what is chapter 4 about? Chapter 4 is about variables and constants. Why do we need them? Oh, you already know that. Remember flowcharts? Yes. When we want to have an input from a user, we have no idea what value they're going to enter, which means we have to create a variable, which means we have to tell the computer leave space in the memory for a value that's coming from a user. We have no idea what the value is, but it's coming and we are going to use it in the program. So, to show it to you how to do the reviews in chapter 4, I'm going to do with you review 6. In review 6, this is the story. Skyhook International sells skyhooks that ship 3 per box. Padded envelopes are used to ship individual skyhooks. Create a Skyhook International application that prompts the user for the number of skyhooks ordered and then displays the number of boxes and envelopes required for the shipment when ship is clicked. The application interface should look similar to what I'm going to show you. So let's do it. We are going to start with Visual Studio. Do you remember how? Just start with the word visual and it should pop Visual Studio 2019. We got it right here. Let's go for it. All right, and it takes a moment. Okay, we are going to create a new project. Remember from our first review, chapter 3, review 1, how to do it. If not, well, I will tell you. All right, so, oh, my computer is slow today, slow, 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 don't worry. So, here it is. We'll start with create new project. Then we are going to tell the computer what we are going to do. Right, so here it is. Oh boy, it's really slow today. So let's go. We want Visual Basic and we want Windows Form Up. So let's go down a little. Here it is, Windows Form Up, and click on Next. The next thing, we need to tell the computer where we are going to save this project. Okay, first, well, I'm going to call it, well, not review 6, I'm going to call it hooks. So what are skyhooks? I don't really know. Apparently, it's imaginary. You can check it, you can Google it. Where I'm going to save it, I'm going to save it on my desktop. So that's what I need to tell the computer. And here it is, desktop, Visual Basic Project, select folder, we got it. So hooks in Visual Basic Project, perfect. And create. We start with a brand new form. There will be nothing on it, which means we have to do everything. Add the properties for the form, actually one property, remember, just one, and then add labels and text, something brand new, which is a text box, and a button that will start all the work. Okay, again, the computer is taking its time today. Don't worry, at some point it will figure it out. It's creating the project, it's creating the folders, creating the files that we need for our review 6. All right, so going back to, I just mentioned a text box. Okay, well, you will see why we are going to use it in a second. All the reviews in chapter 4 are done exactly the same way, which means you start with the form and setting up the text property. And I'm going to go to text and I'm going to type hooks. It's not the same as in your chapter 4 review 6, but I'm showing you how you will have to follow instructions. Then we are going to have 5 labels. Look at the picture. 5 labels, 1 button, and 1 text box. Let's start with creating our labels. So there will be 1 label. This is the prompt label. Oh, again, so skinny, don't worry. We just go and make it a little bit bigger so we can actually see the real size of it. Okay, so here it is. Beside it, we are going to put a text box. Text box starts with T, so guess what? You have to look lower. And here's our text box. This is the place where we are going to the user is going to enter values. The next thing is a button, all right, and we are going to put it right here. This button will start all our events, and let's go for the last 4 labels. There will be 1, there will be another one, and another one, and yeah, that's the last one. Yay! All right, so we've got 4 labels at the bottom. Again, I want to see their sizes so I can nicely align them. Auto size false. And let's go for the next one. Auto size as well as auto size false. And here, the next one. That's not this one, auto size. All right. And finally, label 5. And we go to auto size and change it to false. Now, let's make them a little bit smaller or just kind of match them. All right, this one was, oops, longer. So let's make it a little longer. This one was probably a little bit. Yay! Beautiful. So we created all the objects. Label 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got the button, we've got the text box. Let's start with with naming them. This label is going to be the prompt, which means it will tell the user what to enter into the text box. So how should I call it? Well, I will start with LBL because this is the this is the 3-letter prefix that we should use for the labels. So LBL prompt. All right. And what we are going to say in the text property of this label, in the text it says number of skyhooks order, so we will just ask for number of hooks. All right, and here it is. Now, let's go to the text box. Text box allows the user to enter values during the runtime of the program. Of course, what would be the 3 letters for the text box? How about TXT? So TXT, that's how we start our name, and I'm going to call it hooks. So what will be entered into this text box? Well, number of hooks. That's why I called it hooks. I could have called it number of hooks. Hooks is, well, less letter to type. Now, let's go for the button. What we are going to call it? Well, you remember from the previous video, it's BTN. And what is this button going to use for? We are going to start the procedure. So we are going to call it ship, BTN ship. And let's go down to the text property right here, and we'll put the word ship. Okay, now those 2 labels will be empty at the beginning because they will get the numbers of the boxes and numbers of envelopes that we are supposed to ship to the user based on the number entered right here, which means we will now first call all the labels, name all the labels. So this label will represent the number of boxes. What do we start with? LBL. Then what is it? Number. Okay, num. and of what? Of boxes. All right. Notice the name is logical, and by looking at the name, we immediately know what it's going to be. Press enter. Now, this label, this is the label which will show the number of envelopes. All right, so LBL num envelopes. Okay, now this one we'll just call boxes, LBL boxes, and this one we are going to call LBL envelopes. Perfect. We named them. Good. Now let's give them text property. Remember what I just said about this one? There will be nothing in there, so the text property of this label will be nicely erased. And there will be nothing there either. All right, so let's delete it and enter. Here we are going to say boxes because this is going to be the number, beside it will be number of boxes. So this is the prompt to the other label. And then this one, do you remember what it was? Envelopes. Envelopes. Perfect. Good. So we've done it. Our form is perfect. We've got the number of hoops, the text box that the user is going to enter the number. We've got the button ship, which will start it all. And we've got the 4 labels, the display labels. Shall we? Okay. So how do we start any of the reviews in Visual Basic review, chapter 4. Now, let's think about it. What is supposed to start the whole program? The button ship. So the user is going to enter a number. Do we know the number? No, we don't know the number. We have to actually, create a variable. Oh, that's what we will. Now, there are 2 other numbers in this review, which we don't know either. We don't know the number of boxes. How come? Well, we don't know the number of hooks, so we have no idea how many boxes we need. Now, we don't know the number of hooks. We don't know how many envelopes we need, which means we have 3 variables. Just looking at the picture. In the other reviews, do the same. Look at the picture and look how many numbers you need to have. And then figure out, are those numbers given? Or those numbers will appear because the user entered a number and then there was a calculation. All right, we've got our first step already done. So let's start with the ship. Double click on it. All right, and now we are in the programming window, and here it is. If we click on the button ship, what is supposed to happen? The first thing we need to do is declare the variables. We don't have any constants. We could have a constant here. Actually, we do have a constant, the boxes. So let's create the first one will be the constant. So the constant start with const. Okay. Then we are going to give it a name. Now, the first thing, 3. That's the number per box. Okay. Can we have half? Can we have half a number per box? Not exactly. Which means we have to use integer numbers. What does it mean? Well, there are different ways of different types of numbers that we can use in Visual Basic. The first question you have to ask yourself, is this number a constant or a variable going to be an integer number, or is it going to be a decimal number? Once you decided, okay, it's going to be an integer number, you have to decide if it's going to be a small integer number, medium-sized integer number, or a big integer number. If it's going to be a small one, you can call it short. It takes only 2 bytes from memory. If it's going to be the medium-sized integer, well, we are going to call it, guess what? Integer. And if it's a big integer number, let's say the distance between the Earth and the Moon, you may want to use a type called long. So short, 2 bytes from memory, integer, 4 bytes from memory, and long, 8 bytes. They just double. Now, what if it is a decimal number? Then we have to double it because we've got decimals that need space in memory. So we will, for the small decimal number, it's going to be called single. And it takes 4 bytes from memory. The medium size is double, and it takes 8 bytes from memory. And the big one is decimal. It takes, of course, 16, double, remember, 16 bytes from memory. Memories are precious. That's why we have to think what types of variables we are going to use. There's no point to use a big one if the number is going to be small. So in our case, it's a very small number. But in case you are not sure what type you should use the middle one. So what was the middle one for integer? Integer. That's what we are going to use. So we are going to call our constant int. Okay, and we need to have a name that is logical. So what's that 3 represent? What does it represent? It represents the number per box. Let's call it int num per box. Yay, we got the name. Now we have to tell the computer what type we are going to use. So constant int number per box as integer. Yeah, that's the type. And if it is a constant, we must give it a value. What was the number? 3. That's the number. Perfect. We've got our first line. Wow. Let's go to the next line. Next line will be simpler. Well, now we are just declaring the variables. We just have to give them names. So the magic word when we declare a variable is dim. Dim stands for dimension, which means leave space in memory. For what? Well, let's check. The hooks. Can we send a half a hook? No, must be an integer. Okay, that's easy. Boxes, half a box? No, must be integer. Envelopes, can we send half an envelope? No. So again, all of our variables, the hooks, the boxes, and envelopes must be integer. So 3 letters, int. The first one is called hooks. The second is called boxes. And the third one, envelopes. As integer. I don't need to type anymore. Done. So what did I do? I just told the computer, create space for 3 numbers. Those numbers will be called hooks, boxes, and envelopes. And what goes in those spaces in the memory are integer numbers. That's exactly what we told the computer. So declare, when we create a project in chapter 4, make sure first you declare the constants and variables for to start the project. Then I'm pressing an empty line just to make sure that's clear. The first was declare the variables. The second one, we are going to give values to each of those variables. That's right. Once you created variables, you need to list them down and say this value comes from whatever, this value comes from whatever, and so on. So, well, we don't need to give a value to the constant because we already did it at the beginning. Let's start. So the first value we want to tell the computer where it comes from is int hooks. So type int hooks. Okay, and now we are going to say equal. So where does it come from? Let's look at the picture. Where does it come from? From the text box. Aha! But wait just a second. If someone enters here anything but a number, we are in a deep doo-doo. Yeah, the program won't work. So we have to tell the computer, take the value from this text box. All right, let's do it. So start with VAL, open brackets, and then remember the text box name? Well, we'll use the same thing we've done before, which is me dot, and what? We are going to look for the text box. The text box starts with what letter? T. Okay, here it is, text hooks dot text. Yeah, it's highlighted. I just close with the brackets. So I just told the computer that the value of int hooks comes from the text property of the text box called txt hooks. Got it? Perfect. Now, the next one, well, we've done this one. Let's try this one. Int boxes. Where does the value come from? Let's check the picture. Do you see any more text boxes? Which means that we have to calculate that value. How are we going to calculate the value? So someone enters 10. It's 3 per box. What should we do to the 10? We should divide it by 3. Very good. But we cannot use the regular division. Why? Because the integer values can, well, if when they're rounded, they may not give the real value. So how about if we use integer division? Integer division, you say? It's going to be a backslash, not the regular slash for regular division. It will be a backslash, which means we are going to ask the computer to calculate how many full 3's fit in that number. So what are we dividing? Int hooks. Integer division by what? By int number per box. Oh, look at this, it's right here. Now I press enter. I don't need to continue typing because the computer knows what I want. So we've got the calculation for boxes. Perfect. Now let's go for what? What's left? Envelopes. All right, equals to what? Same hooks. Now, we want to know the remainder. So if we divide that original number by 3, what's left over? That's what we want to know. And you know what we can use? Division called modulus. Modulus is looking for a remainder. So let's do it. int hooks. And now we are going to type mod. Mod what? Int num. Okay, and enter. So what have we done? We said we declare the constant 3 per box. We declare the variables, the hooks that the user enters, the boxes the computer calculates, and the int envelopes that computer calculates. Now, we told the computer that the value of hooks comes from the text box. And we told the computer to calculate the number of boxes by dividing the total hooks by 3. And then we told the computer, show us what's the remainder by dividing the hooks by 3 and giving us the remainder. Now, what's left? So 1, declare the variables and constants. 2, give them values. 3, display it. How will we know the answer if we don't display it? So, do you remember the first label that was supposed to contain the number of boxes? No problem. Just type me, and type L. And here we've got all the labels we've created. So which one was it? Number of boxes. Good. Dot text equals what? What we just calculated, which is int boxes. And the second one, me dot L, and that will be number of envelopes dot text equals int and envelopes. All right, and we've done it. We've done it. Beautiful. Okay, let's run it. All right, in the textbook, the number is 26. Let's see if it matches. There should be 8 boxes and 2 envelopes. Let's do it. Well, as usual, when you run the program for the first time, it takes a little bit longer. And of course, it also takes a little bit longer if you have lots of files and folders open on your computer. So we are still waiting. Oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and we got it. So we are going to enter 26 and ship. Well, guess what? 8 and 2. We've done pretty well. Now let's type, I want to know 100. Oh, I don't like it. Look, I typed 100, but I still have this 8 and 2. Confusing, isn't it? You say, oh, miss, but you should click on the ship. Sure, but it irks me. We have to clean it up. How can we? Let me show you. So, this time, we are going to tell the computer, when a new number is entered right here into the text box, make sure that the 2 labels with answers are cleared. All right? Okay, how do I do it? Well, like I can do anything else. When I want to program something, I just point to it and double click. Yay! So, if I'm going to change the text in the text hooks to a new one, what am I supposed to do? I'm going to make sure that those 2 labels are cleared. See, I'm not even typing them. I'm just copying them and pasting them. And don't be scared if it gets underlined, because this time we are going to say put nothing there. Okay, so nothing, I can put an empty string, or I can actually type the word nothing. Okay, nothing, nothing. All right, and both work the same, which means if I change the text, if I change the number in the text hooks, those 2 labels that shows the answers before should be clear. Shall we check? Sure, we should. All right. And again, a little bit of waiting, not as much though. This time, again, I will put 26. Perfect. 8 and 2. And now I'm going to type 1. Oh, look at this. The moment I typed 1, those 2 labels, the answer labels, are nicely cleared. And now I click on ship. And now we know it will be 33 boxes, just 1 envelope. Wow, what's missing? We are done. We are done with the project, except for what? What should we do for each and every of our projects? Yep, you need to add comments. So here, let's go at the top. Do you remember the comment? How do we start a comment? Apostrophe. And then you are supposed to type your name, whatever your name is, and today's date. Oh, let me clear it a little. All right. And we are done. Well, not yet. Now the last part is to make sure that it's all saved. So save all. Now we are done. So have fun with the reviews. Check the folders, all the information, PowerPoints are there as well to help you, and enjoy.